welcome to the HRart Rise Morning Show. Give me 1 second. I'm going to adjust this light. See if that's better. That is very much better. And this mic is in my light. That's the other problem. And then we're going to adjust this up just a tad. Let's see. That's better. All right. Swapping cameras. So I think everything is working. You know, I spend so much of my time as I'm learning how to live stream. I spend so much time basically in this world of rushing and not having everything ready. And then when things are actually ready, I'm pleasantly surprised, and then I doubt myself. So then I still check everything. So, but anyways, things look good. I'm assuming that you can hear me and sound is good. If you're new here, take a moment, say hello in the chat. If you're watching the replay, make sure you say hello down in the comments so I can say hello to you later. But happy Friday, my fellow HRart workers, and welcome to the HRart Rise Morning Show. I'm so grateful that you're here. This morning has been a little bit of a challenge because I did not get the rest that I need to have. I don't know if you function this way, but I definitely have a certain time frame in the evening that I need to unwind and go to sleep. And if I don't go to sleep by that time, then I really struggle to basically be in bed and get a restful night's sleep. And last night, my heart is just still so full. I got to be part of this amazing virtual book launch to celebrate my newest book, The HRart Intuitive, which is right here if you're looking at it. And, you know, if you haven't been following along, long story short, the book came out in October, and I have really grand visions of launching it 2020 delivered like it has all year. And basically my plans fell apart literally the week that I was launching my book. And I did what I do best as an introvert. I went internal and I hid, but very luckily I have this incredible launch team that actually had signed up to help support launch the book, who basically were like, what's happening? When is the book out? Is the book out? Are we supposed to be sharing? And I had to have this call with them. And when I talked to them, I really took some time to reflect on what do I need out of this launch? What really saddened me that it didn't work out? And the biggest piece was that I didn't get to have the space to celebrate its release and to share it with the people I love. The book is called The HRart Intuitive, and after last night, listening to those who have read it and those who haven't gotten it, can firmly say that people don't have a really great idea what it's about. And that is because it's linked directly to what we talk about here every Friday morning, about expanding the mindset of HR. You know, I've worked for so long in human resources, being told that it's all our responsibility for the people within the organization. The people are, number one, the most expensive on the budget. So if you don't care from just a genuine place of wanting to do good, you should care by the amount of money that you spend when you employ somebody or when you terminate somebody. I mean, the cost of employment transactions is huge. It's huge. And if I knew that as an HR practitioner when I became an entrepreneur and growing my team and going through the highs and lows, like, totally get it now. And so that's number one. Number two, like, your people are the difference between your organization, legit, this sounds cliche, but thriving versus just surviving. The difference between being good and great, okay, and, you know, average, they create the culture. You hire and you fill your organization, and they ultimately create the culture, which is the personality and the living, breathing, essentially like organism that your organization is. And so it just baffles me when we would like isolate it to a department that in a lot of organizations is a part-time, a 50% position, or is a department of one for a massive organization. I mean, our Society for Human Resource Management, the professional affiliation, basically has this whole section now trying to support these people that are HR departments of one, because this is a trend. And I think it's a trend a lot more after coming out of 2020 because of whatever havoc or changes that were mandated, that were made as a result of what we faced in 2020 from a plethora of dynamics. And I think 2021 has made it pretty clear that this is not over yet. We're still in the trenches, and so don't expect that it's time. I actually, for whatever reason, believe that 2022 is really when we'll start to see a new normalcy in a multitude of areas. So I say all this because HR, I truly believe, is an expanded mindset. It's basically people-driven leaders, and I think they need to start recognizing that they are HR. That is what HR is. It's being people-driven leadership, people-driven strategy, and that's what you are. You're HRart Workers. I'm preaching to the choir here because if you're here, you're a HRart Worker. You're a people-driven leader. And we're here recognizing that a big piece of that is our personal care, our self-care, our personal growth. Because as we grow and we elevate our internal vibration, it just shifts everything higher. And I've seen that time and time again as executive leaders who are people-driven leaders elevate their entire energetic vibration by doing the growth work and the self-care practices that they need, that serve them and their highest good. They automatically start shifting up the organization. And this 100% ties into what we are talking about today, because the word joy is all about energetic vibration. All about energetic vibration. That is why it is a game changer, shall we say. So, perfect place to transition into what is our objective for today's show. Our objective for today's show is the joy, what's called joy as a priority, but is the joy-filled path the one that can make dreams come true? Aren't joy and happiness the same thing? And aren't some joyful actions, should be plural, actions, a legit waste of time, like seriously unproductive? So I want to unpack these three aspects and talking about how joy is having it operate as a priority. And hopefully through answering those questions, also answer the actual big why joy as a priority is needed. But before we get to those questions, let's revisit posts to ponder. So as I do every week that we have for I think the last month now, I share with you some social media posts that caught my attention, made me screenshot them on my phone so I can revisit them, and thought they're worthy to share with you. Not necessarily all the posts that I would say I agree with, but something that made me think, made me ponder, vibrated internally with me, resonated in some fashion. All right, so let's move into posts to ponder. I feel like it needs like a jingle. I'll have to have like a jingle for post to ponder. I'll have to look for that. All right, so post number 1, that is not what we want. If I can navigate this morning, you can tell that I am still snoozing a bit. All right, so post number 1, I think all of my posts this week are from Instagram. I hang out on Instagram a lot. I love Instagram. The second place that I'm probably on a lot is LinkedIn. I scroll through LinkedIn. There's just, the network on there is so large, and people's intentions are so varied. So it's really difficult for me to navigate that platform. Uh, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But Instagram, I really kind of have isolated my Instagram feed to really be a source of nourishment and restoration. There's not a lot of people I follow that would cause me to be triggered, so that really Instagram is like my safe space. So there's a lot of things that I follow, i.e. hashtags, which I save those on these posts this week, that fill my cup, fill my feed, and make it so it is something that serves me rather than something that drains me. So I do follow hashtag Lightworker. Whether you agree with that terminology or not, the people who come to use that terminology really are like-minded individuals for me. So therefore, they share a lot of things that vibe with me, and usually you could tell that by, number one, the quotes that people share under that hashtag. If those are leaders or people that are in your studies or on your pathway, then there's a chance that it's like-minded. So sometimes I'm like, don't get too caught up in the terminology because of all the multitude of definitions that you think that something means, but instead stay with using it as a tool. Hashtags are a tool to find like-minded people. And, sometimes I wish we could look historically at what generates a hashtag, like who was the first person who used that hashtag that then resonated with other people. Because I do also believe that there's like a mindset evolution, but I'm totally going on a hashtag weird soapbox, and let's bring it back to post ponder. So I follow hashtag Lightworker, and this post dropped in there from Astral Dimension is the actual account, who I don't follow, but saw her post or their post on my feed because of the hashtag that I follow. And they shared this quote from Confucius, and it says, "A seed grows with no sound, but a tree falls with huge noise. Destruction has noise, but creation is quiet. This is the power of silence. Grow silently." Silence and stillness is something that I think in 2020 I really embraced. There was times where we were gifted kind of a pause, at least for me, and I got to embrace that and to grow. But it's interesting to just make note of the idea that when we're growing internally, people don't often know about it. It's not this public piece. And sometimes I think that's the difference between when we do something for an achievement aspect that we know that we have to have versus something that we're doing because we know is truly going to serve us and that we need for our growth. And what I'm talking about is, especially in the workspace, we have trainings that we have to do. Maybe there's tools that we want to be able to be certified to use. And so it makes sense if you think about watching your social media feed, you'll see people saying, I'm going to this workshop, I'm getting this certification. Whereas things like, I think about my medical Qigong training, I really did not talk about that a lot all year. If I posted when I was at training, I did so because there were moments that I wanted to share, mostly when I got my certification. And once again, that's driven because wanting to share, because I want to start doing that work with other people, not more so for my growth. So when growth is occurring, when it's really powerful, it's happening in silence. There is no huge noise with it. And also recognizing that if you spend all of your time making noise, this quote would challenge me to say, is any of that noise destructive in fashion? Especially when we're talking professionally. Professionally is a space where we have a lot of outlets to make a lot of noise. And what is the aftermath of that noise? Post number 2, Simon Sinek, great optimist and author. He wrote the books on the why, which I am a huge fan of. I went through a coaching process with Tony Hernandez to help me find my why, and it really was a monumental jumper for me in my path. Simon Sinek also wrote the book called The Infinite Game, which I have gotten through about half of it, but never got to finish. And in fact, it's going to be part of my podcast summer book club series that's starting in February. And I'm looking for 3 more readers who basically come together. We go through 4 books that I selected for personal and professional growth. 2 are literally books, like business books. The other 2 will push on the personal aspect. And we meet every week. We chat about our ahas. They're recorded and they're shared on the podcast so that if you can't do it with us live, you can do it in the summer while you're summer reading. So anyways, I'm looking for 3 thought leaders who want to take this task on. I know it sounds really daunting to read 10 pages a day of 4 books over a 4-month period. You will feel so accomplished at the end of this. And I say this as someone who is not an avid reader. I know I love books. I use them a lot as resources. I go in spurts where I will read and I will feel like an avid reader, but I'm not truly an avid reader. If that speaks to you and you want to join us for it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat right now. Interested in the book club, email me at samm@leadershipisart.com. That's Samm with 2 M's, SAMM at leadershipisart.com. So, all right. So here's what Simon Sinek's post says. Trust is like love. Both parties have to feel it before it really exists. So trust is probably one of those main attributes for leadership that I think we're seeing reiterated again and again and again. An attribute for a productive, engaged culture coming up again and again and again. And when we think about trust, it goes both ways. And so for it to exist and for it to flourish, you have to trust your people and they have to trust you. You have to trust your coworkers and they have to trust you. So it is a 2-way street. And I think this is a game-changing framework or approach that we're seeing across the board when it comes to workspaces. I mean, we are seeing everything. It is a 2-way street. It always has been, but now we're like calling it out. You know, interviews are conversations. It's not just me choosing someone to work for me. It's them choosing me as well. That is how we make the best hires. As a leader, it's not I get promoted and I'm automatically a leader. I'm automatically a manager, but I don't get the respect and credibility of a leader. It goes both ways. All right. Here's another one I follow on Instagram. #empath. Last night I talked about this in a great deal about how I am an empath. And then this dropped in an account called Moonlight Energy Healing. So, and they shared another post. I think that might be a Twitter post. But it says Danielle from @Stars, Moons, and Sun. This is her handle. The timeline split is real. We cannot stay in another's life when they are rooted in lower dimensional frequencies, and we have chosen the higher path. So I mentioned about energetic vibrations. As you elevate your vibration, you will notice those who are not elevating their vibration. And this is real. You can only stay functioning with each other for so long before it causes such a dissonance that you have to separate. And we've talked about this on several different things. This is something that I need to hear time and time again. Especially when we're in HR, when we're in leadership and we care about people, and that's at the core of what we do. We want to work and save everybody, and we can't. And I will never forget, I had the privilege when I worked in the healthcare system that I got to work with a multitude of the educational nurses. My office was like plopped right in the center of them. And nurses, I always had a respect for what you do. Um, those educational nurses allowing me into their world just opened my eyes to a full, wholehearted respect to the amazing work that nurses do throughout our healthcare system. But one of the healthcare educators, Mike, he would say these common cliche kind of phrases, but he would totally back them up. Like he would use them like right at this perfect time. And one of them is, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can't force people to do it. You can give them all the tools so that they can be successful, but if they don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. It's just not. It's not going to happen. So, knowing that split is real, and when you recognize, and as you continue being HRart workers and awakening and opening up, you'll realize that there are people who are rooted in a lower frequency and they have no desire to elevate. And so as you're choosing a higher path and a higher frequency, and those who are following along, because you will notice that, you'll feel that those are slowly elevating themselves and continuing with you and growing with you, because they like that energy, and like attracts like. But like and not like also cause a large amount of dissonance. And so how are you going to navigate that dissonance? All right, number 4. I think I've shared this before, but I think that this just ties in naturally to the last one perfectly. Let's normalize the fact that all friendships aren't meant to last. So I don't know where we get this idea, and I know that I had it for several years. I grew up with it, that friends are supposed to be forever. Certain friends are forever. Not all of them are. People show up and they'll be there, and you guys will serve each other greatly and help each other grow. But then there may be a time where that growth and that togetherness is no longer beneficial and people have to move on. And that's natural. That's healthy. Nobody did anything wrong. But just instilling that. All friends are not forever. So there's some that are just not meant to last. Yeah. All right. Moving on to our final one. Oh, man. Sorry. Wrong click. So once again from #empath, Lightworker Lounge. So defensiveness shows a lack of belief in your truth. So this really stopped me. So when I'm being defensive, when I feel like I'm being attacked, when that is naturally coming up and I feel like I have to protect myself, that shows that I lack a personal belief in either what I believe. And I think when I hear your truth, I think it's just so much bigger than just what I believe to be true. It's more so my identity, my values, the reason why I believe that I exist. So my why, which kind of generates my path. And I think that's what's really powerful about a why, is that it gives us a lane that we're in, that we're charging down, that is that vibration that ultimately we feel connected. And so so that quote means that when defensiveness starts to show up, it is a sign that we are struggling internally with our personal identity and our personal truth and our personal growth. I think that's really powerful. So those are my 5 posts to ponder for this week. Hopefully some of them resonated with you. Like I said, if you have any posts that you see that you would like me to include in that segment, on Instagram, I follow #posts to ponder. So if you just comment and put that in the post, I will find it. If you share it into your stories with the post, I will find it. So anyways, just a fun little fact. All right, let's move into our points for today. So the first question is the joy-filled path the one that can make dreams come true? So joy is an energetic vibration that is high. When we find things that give us joy, they automatically have a higher vibration and frequency. So if I go down that path, I'm going to kind of get into what Gabby Bernstein likes to call a flow. And when I'm in the flow, that's when things happen. Like I start manifesting my goals and my dreams. I also would say that when you're in that flow, the dreams and the goals become less about these specific, defined, I'm controlling everything, this is what my life has to look like, and more so about this is the kind of life that I want to live because I want to feel like this. And that's when we're talking about energetic vibrations, it's about feeling. And that's why joy is such a powerful path maker, because if you're filled with joy, it feels good. And so you want to continue seeking that. And this brings up the second point, which is, aren't joy and happiness, my mouse is not working, aren't joy and happiness the same thing? And I would say they're not. Happiness, I see something as like a blip in the moment. So like the pancakes. Pancakes make me happy. Do they bring me joy? Are they my joy-filled path? No, they're not. But they do definitely make me happy. But would I say penguins, do those bring me joy? Penguins absolutely bring me joy. So I put them around me. They allow me to escape and create these joy-filled moments. They allow me to connect with people in these joy-filled spaces now because people know that they bring me joy. So my relationship with penguins is completely different than pancakes. I know I'm talking about this in a really, really weird space, but it will also tie into point number 3 very perfectly with the pancakes and the penguins. But they're not exactly the same. The only way I can explain joy is an extreme warmth that you'll feel inside. It's going to fill you up. It's going to feel like you are just vibrating with goodness when you do a joy-filled act. So I get the same thing when I go to Disney. Disney is a joy-filled act for me. I can't even explain it. Like entering into a Disney park, being in that entire Disney experience, I just do that. And I think those of you that enjoy Disney probably know exactly what I'm thinking about. I actually follow several Disney park bloggers because their feed of them getting to the parks a lot more than I do feeds that and fuels that. And so that's joy. In my work, writing brings me joy. Last night's event is a perfect example of separating a joy-filled path, and being guided down there versus me trying to control everything and what I think my success and my path of happiness should look like. My joy is found in the writing and the creating and the artistry of the book. So this is my joy, is creating this. Launching and promoting and all of that, not my joy. Extremely energetically draining. Last night's event could have 100% been energetically draining for me. A celebration for my work that brought me so much joy could have been just sucked out, and I could have just totally been just deterred in so many different ways. But the path that I've been traveling around, sorting through what brings me joy, what doesn't, the awareness that I have that this piece is energetically draining, but this piece serves me greatly, allowed me to create an event where I brought people together who do joy, what brings them joy is being in front of people and doing this aspect, sharing. Dave, who was our MC last night, totally in his element. My mom, totally in her element doing Zumba. Ted O'Brien, my medical Qigong teacher, totally in his element. You could just see him lighting up. These people in their elements, doing what they did best, allowed me to step back and just enjoy. Ashley, who is my dear friend from graduate school, I'm just so, my heart's so full that this book has allowed me to reconnect with her. She was one of my beta readers. We had a beautiful feedback session, and she served as the facilitator for the Q&A session. But she curated these beautiful questions that inspired others to ask questions, to guide me on what to share about the book with people. I get so stressed out about that. I believe 100% in what's written in my books. I think that they 100% serve and can be of service. I don't like the pressure of that, and I never have. Me selling myself has never been my forte. If you want to have a testament to that, if you've ever been to one of my speaking engagements, I talk about myself like this. I might list my qualifications so that I'm credible enough to speak, but I'm there to be of service, not to sell you something. And so it's taken me a lot to just be able to put up a slide that says, hey, I've written books, or you can follow me on Instagram or find me on LinkedIn and connect. Because it's just not natural. It's not what's energizing to me. Teaching and sharing, that is energizing to me. Anyways, so that's the difference between the joy and the joy-filled path, or when I'm forcing myself to just be the creator of everything in my life, having complete control. That path would have been draining, and the complete opposite, whereas a joy-filled path elevated my frequency. I can't even tell you how good I felt last night being on that event, even virtually. I love those events live, but virtually it was amazing. So aren't some joyful actions a legit waste of time? Like, seriously unproductive? You mean like penguins? Like, are penguins a legit waste of time? Here's the deal. Joyful acts require us to engage in elements of play. If you listen to the Heart of It podcast, a lot of season 2 is around the concept of play. Jeff Harry is on there. Ruby Martin's coming back and talking about play. We have interviewing somebody on Monday, and the name escapes me, but I have a lot of play experts coming on and talking about play. Joy and play are directly linked. So that's just a natural. So the penguins is a play element. That's a joy-filled act. We need to play. We need to have these play breaks. Because they're a way that naturally we infuse stillness and some yin into our life. It's a way that we ground ourselves and find ourselves being fully present in the moment. We have come to believe that we have to pack every minute of every single day with something. That if we take an afternoon to do something that brings us joy, we have wasted that entire afternoon. So no, I don't think that there are any that are legit waste of time. We went away in between the holidays just to get a change of scenery, stayed in this beautiful home right on the water, courtesy of Airbnb. And I thought I was going to do all these amazing productive things, like write and meditate and Qigong for hours. I sat on a couch, sometimes went outside, sat by the water, didn't read, just kind of vegged out, watched a lot of movies. And I'll be honest, I came back and I thought, you just totally wasted a whole week. You've lost all your momentum, and way to go, Sam. You just set yourself back. That's not the case. In fact, I actually gained more momentum. I had people calling to schedule appointments for work. I had new meetings and opportunities. I came back and I've been writing better than ever. So what I instinctively, ego kept telling me, this is a complete waste of time, turned out to be this experience or encounter that I absolutely needed. So I'm going to say that if you believe that, you're just having internal conflict, an internal dialogue that's trying to stop you. Engage in those joy-filled moments. So much so that I think, we're seeing a lot of articles about the modification of work days and what the expectation is. We're so ingrained this idea of 8 to 5 or 8-hour work days. But what about I was just interviewing Dr. Benjamin Ritter on the podcast. So his podcast is coming out soon. And he talks about playing soccer in the middle of the day, going to the gym in the middle of the day. Now that we're working from home, you don't have to figure out how to get showered to be pretty for your next call, or maybe you're not on a call. And why do you have to be pretty for every call if you're not meeting with clients? Can I look like I'm in the gym? I went and did something that brought me joy that's going to make me even more productive when I'm working. So there's studies that are being done that link all of this together. But I know that doesn't stop what's happening internally when we're having these dialogues. And so I'm telling you that if you just give yourself permission to engage in joy and follow joy, once again, not happiness. So I'm not saying just go veg out on pancakes. But if you want to go see the penguins, go see the penguins. If you follow me on social media, I think it was 2 years ago now, I got to do this penguin encounters at the Maryland Zoo. It was my birthday present. I think it was my birthday present. My birthday present from my best friend, Mary Rose. And I thought we were just going to go behind the scenes and see how the penguins are cared for at the Maryland Zoo. You actually get to hang out with the penguins. You get to sit in a room and they come around you. At one point you can kind of see if a penguin is open to letting you touch. But talk about an entire experience where I was just so filled with joy in the moment. I mean, I look at those pictures and it still takes me back there. And it's one of the best experiences of my life. But penguins are something that brings me so much joy, whether I see it on a cup versus I see them at the zoo. And that's been since I was a girl. At the SeaWorld in San Diego, I think they have this massive Antarctica exhibit with the emperor penguins, and I remember going as a little girl and thinking that this was the best thing ever. So giving yourself permission to do those things, because I don't think you fully will ever be able to comprehend all that is encompassed in you truly partaking and just saying yes to that joy-filled act. So that is my lesson for today on joy as a priority. I hope that this served you, and would love to hear how joy, what things bring you joy, what joyful acts came to mind for you, whether they are binging something on Netflix, taking naps during the day, which talked about naps a lot last night, penguins, pancakes. Maybe pancakes are your joy-filled act, and that's 100% okay. We're baking. Baking is a good one too. So just as a little bit of a sneak peek, next week, lesson number 80, we're talking about less is more. This is a mantra that I've had for the last year. We'll continue to have it. And then the week after, on the 29th, lesson number 81, all is well in alignment. The 29th is actually Vision Fest at Leadership Arts Associates. We are hosting virtual sessions for the first time ever because of just the circumstances and the way that the world works. So no matter where you are, you can join us for a live create session. It is an amazing experience. I cannot personally wait, and I'm a facilitator, but because I get to participate and create my connected canvases, it's an awesome experience. So if you want to learn more about that, go to leadershipisart.com, and up in the top menu, it says Vision Fest. Click on it and learn all about that. So that is what's coming in the next coming weeks. I want to thank you for... I can't... This mouse is not working. It does not want to work. Please hold. Oh my gosh. Oh, here we go. I usually have this little device that lets me change things. It's this one. It's not working today. I need to work on that. So not everything worked today. But we're getting closer. So I have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I'll see you next week when we talk about less is more here on the HRart Rise Morning Show. And remember, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. Make sure you hit the little bell, because that means every time I go live, you'll get an email. You'll get a nice little reminder to come join me on Friday mornings. Have your cup of coffee, your tea, your breakfast, and let's chat about raising our heart level. Thank you for being a heart worker. Thank you for everything that you do. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.